Hello everyone, this is an assembly guide for the Arena Dice Tray by Laser Bear Creations. This laser cut design comes in multiple material thicknesses. I design all my files from the ground up, so this is done in Fusion 360 and with Adobe Illustrator. I printed my project in a 5mm Columbia Forest mahogany wood on my Glowforge Pro. The engrave takes a long time, but it's totally worth it. I also mask my material to keep the charring off, and I don't like to sand. So if you do this, you can try to use some sort of tape to help remove some of the more intricate masking parts. So here I'm using some tape on this pattern here for the dice tray where the dice sit to remove the masking pretty quickly. Once you use one piece of tape, you will have to tear off another to help remove all the little pieces. I used about 3 or 4 pieces when I did this. Curious if you guys mask your stuff or sand. I prefer masking because I don't know. I don't like sanding. It's all dusty. It makes a big mess. Masking takes a lot of time. I guess if you were making a bunch of them, it would work, but I prefer masking. I usually use oil-based stains, so I'll be using this light oil stain on some of the surfaces. One thing to be careful of is as you're staining, if you're using an oil-based stain, some of the slots for the pieces you go in oil will go through those and it'll end up on the other side, so you don't want to get those in the wrong place. And for the back side, I'm using just a dark stain to kind of hide these pieces, not really illuminate the parts that don't have a lot of design. This took me a lot longer to do, I think, just because I was trying to be careful not to get the dark stain on the other side by accident. But, you know, you use whatever you want to when you're doing your project, and I think it'll work great. I'd love to see your creations. So, yeah, join our Facebook group, the Laser Cave, or come join us on Reddit. I'd love to see what project you guys are working with and try to connect. For this project, I'm using Gorilla Wood Glue. I use that on most of my projects. I'll be adding some glue to these tabs. This is the first part that you're going to want to assemble to the base. I like to add glue to both pieces of wood, so as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit here. That makes sure that there's a good bond. These tabs support the dice tray. These won't be shown. That's why they're not stained. You can do whatever you want with them. It won't make a difference. But once you get all of them in there, you're going to install the top part of the dice tray, the one with the pattern on it. You're just going to match up the holes in the center of each of those. And again here, you'll see I like to add glue to both pieces. On the previous one too, those pegs, there's long ones for the bottom and then small ones for the top. Here we're going to do the outside panels first. They do have, each have different dice on them, so try to think about what order you want to put them in. So if you care about that, you want to think about that and kind of lay them out before you proceed. But I'm adding glue to both sides of this piece, kind of the bottom, the sides. I don't know, I like to add a good amount of glue. But this part you can't really see, but I'm adding glue to the bottom there. And then here, I'm adding glue to the side of the dice tray. There's no slot that fits into this panel part and that dice tray, but they do rest against each other. So I think you need a little bit of glue, as you can see right there, to make sure that they connect. There's my head. And once you get that one in, we'll be able to move on to the next one. You will see here in a minute, I figure out that I should probably add a clamp. So I'm test fitting a few of these pieces kind of to make sure which order I want. And here's where I realize, hey, these parts could probably use some clamps. So what I do is as I put these in, I'm going to add a clamp to each section once I get the glue in there and rotate them. I'm doing this pretty quickly because I was trying to get this out as soon as I could. I might have waited a little bit more to let some of these parts dry, but I pretty much clamped them, spun it around, did them all, and then you'll see me take them off. So some stuff didn't quite dry in the moment. You'll see it move, but in the end, like, it all holds really well together the way it's designed. At least I think so. Now you're going to add the inside panels. So here it's the same process. You're going to add a little bit of glue to the kind of the edge of the dice where the dice storage tray is, and you're going to add glue to the bottom. I suppose depending on what material and what kerf settings you're using, you don't need glue for this project. There are a few. The last piece I think you're going to need glue, but in these side parts here, I think it's good to use glue. But overall, it's not a ton of gluing. And in general, out of all the things that I've designed, I thought this was a pretty straightforward project. So it looks really cool. It's big. But it's pretty easy to put together if you follow this methodology. I forgot to mention at the beginning, but the diameter of the tray, if you're using 3mm material, is 288 millimeters. That's about 11.3 inches. Or if you're using 5mm, it's 292 or 11.4 inches. So that's important based on what size of bed you have in your laser. If it's too big and you want a smaller version, let me know, because I've got an idea how to make this smaller or to make it easier to cut on a different laser that doesn't have this much space. But here I'm adding glue to the dividers. All the dividers are exactly the same, so don't worry about which one goes where. They're identical. You're going to put 2 in each of the corners. And they each have 3 holes to go in, 2 in the dice tray and 1 in the base plate. So you just got to kind of wiggle them in there. It's not too hard. My wife was managing me as I did this project, so I don't have a third hand. That was her hand. She was helping me out and watching me do my work. Probably also wondering what I was doing down in the basement working on these designs and slowly watching my shop grow. So if you bought this file, I really appreciate it. It is a ton of work to get these designs done, especially doing them in different material sizes. It's way more work than I thought. So I really appreciate the support. And if you didn't buy this file, check out my Etsy shop, Laser Bear Creations on Etsy. Make sure to follow it. Every time I see that little follow icon on there, it means a lot to me. It's really cool. I don't know if you saw it too as I was talking, that I add some glue to the other piece when I put it in there, so that way that the 2 pieces kind of join together. I don't know if it was necessary, but I like the idea, and it feels really solid when I put them together. So add glue to kind of the one side, and then when you put the other one in, they really stick together. But besides that, it's kind of rinse and repeat. Like, each of these pieces, once you do them one time, it's the same thing, and you're just going to do them over and over again. You see me, I do a little bit of cleanup here towards the end, so I use a toothpick, and I use a paper towel just to kind of wipe up some of the wood glue. All right, after we get all of these in, I think there's only one more step that you have to do, which is to just kind of add the top piece to kind of hide some of the joints and some of the laser cut ends. Yeah, here it is. So you just add some glue to the bottom of it and press it down. This is the only piece that I think, if you don't want to use glue, like, you really have to use glue to get this to hold in place, or whatever else, something sticky to hold it there. This design was semi-inspired by a 3D printed project that I saw that had multiple dice holders in it. So it's a nice dice tray. Holds 6 different sets of dice. You can kind of mix and match how you want. Hopefully there's enough room. Dice kind of ranges in size, but there's some space in there, and you can get your fingers in and out. So I think it works pretty well. I think it looks pretty sharp. I really like the pattern and the scales. Each of the side pieces has the different dice, so it's a pretty cool project. I hope you like it. I'm really curious who else is going to make this. So if you like this project, check out my Etsy shop, Laser Bear Creations on Etsy. I've got a subreddit called Laser Bear Creations. There's a laser cave on Facebook. Please favorite my projects and my designs. I'd really appreciate it. If you like this project, leave a comment. If you have a suggestion for a project or something else you want to see, please leave that below. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Love to chat. Thanks.